This is On the Move.
Welcome to On the Move, where we talk about all things health and wellness and building community. I'm Erin.
And I'm Jeremy.
And today we have a very special show for you. It's something called Chirogram. You probably don't know it by the name, but you probably have seen the videos. It's those viral videos of people going to the chiropractor and getting aligned, and then you hear those screeching sounds, and turns out it's a guilty pleasure of Jeremy's.
It is definitely a guilty pleasure of mine.
What is it about these videos for you?
Well, I've had back surgery. I've had back pain. I'm an athlete, so
Allegedly.
Allegedly, yeah. Some people might consider me one. But I have back pain. I'm sore, and I've had back manipulations or chiropractics before, and it just gives you so much relief. It feels so good. So when you see it on camera and you hear it, I kind of relive the moment I've had when I've had neck cracking, or I'm sure I'm not giving the proper terminology here, but I just feel the relief again, and I relive it, and it feels really good.
And it seems like everyone has different experiences. We'll talk about our experience in just a moment, because we had the opportunity to go to Unity Chiropractic Wellness here in Manhattan and get aligned. Take a look.
Crunchy. Please join us in welcoming to the show Dr. Anna D. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to try this podcast thing.
Okay, so what I love about you, doctor, is that you specialize in corrective exercises as well as being a chiropractor. I like to say you're the lady with the magical hands, because I was afraid to get adjusted, and you made it so kind of like therapeutic. Mm-hmm. Is that this feeling that you generally see that people have after this?
When they come to see me or my doctors at my office, that is the general feeling. Yeah. Yes, because I try to make sure that they get a very luxurious, calm experience before they get any kind of adjustments.
How was it for you, Jeremy?
I've done it before, so I wasn't nervous. Actually, I look forward to it. It's intimidating to see people's neck being manipulated and so on. But when you know the benefits of it and the good feeling you get afterwards, you look forward to it.
Speaking of the benefits, I know immediately after, I kind of almost felt like a noodle, like I wanted to collapse and just go to sleep. Like there was a sense of rest. And I got to tell you, that night, I slept. I slept really, really well. So who would you suggest should get this type of treatment, and why?
I think that everybody could benefit from chiropractic. Generally, the people who come in through our doors are in some sort of pain. Usually they kind of come in like last minute. But generally, anybody who has pain, who has postural issues, who have movement issues, who are doing any kind of sports, have a lifestyle that just keeps them in the position that causes them pain, they are welcome to come in for chiropractic.
And would you say coming in for upkeep is also good? You know, people go for acupuncture, things like that, for stress and other ailments. Would you say chiropractics is good for that as well?
For what exactly?
For like maintenance, as opposed to coming for an issue, coming for maintenance.
Yes. So generally what we do at our office is when people come in, we tell them, hey, if you're someone who's actively in pain right now, we would do some sort of a weekly thing. And then once you're out of pain, then we start to reduce the amount of times you come in by 50%. So if you're coming in for a weekly thing, we do an every other week, then some sort of a monthly thing, until we leave it up to the patient. You have the option, if you really enjoy coming here, which a lot of patients do, or if you feel like you have a lifestyle that just kind of puts you in a bad position, or a sport that puts you in a bad position, then you're welcome to just come by regularly for maintenance.
I know people get great results from chiropractics, but isn't it important to pair it up with corrective exercises? How
physical therapy, you guys also offer that, correct?
Oh, yes. So Erin was saying how she, felt like a noodle after chiropractic, right? And that's the beauty of chiropractic. If it's done right, then patients have kind of like a blank slate where they're able to move their body into a better position throughout the day, so they don't get into a poor posture. So in order for somebody to be in a better posture in a better position, you have to teach them how to hold their body. So in that case, it could be the chiropractor that teaches them, or sometimes in the office, chiropractors might have a physical therapist. So the physical therapist could then show them some exercises that will help to keep them in a better position. And of course, there are sometimes acupuncturists that are in the office as well. Acupuncturists are good because it will help to reduce inflammation, which sometimes, starts to create pain. But another thing that acupuncturists do is, and of course, I'm not an acupuncturist, right? But I'm trying to explain kind of generally what they do. But there are things called like meridians, and meridians are just basically like mapped out channels in people's bodies.
And this is similar to what Eastern medicine would call chi flow and chi energy lines, right?
Yeah. So chi energy lines kind of like flow through these like meridians. And so that means that sometimes if you feel pain, like let's say like on your chin or something, that could be related to some sort of an organ in the body. And, they'll give you advice on how to keep that organ in a better condition. And then also maybe put needles in like other areas following that line. So acupuncture is a good option in case you wanted to really make sure that you're approaching your pain and issues.
There was something you showed me in office when we talk about corrective exercises, how important the neck is that we don't even think about. I mean, a lot of women probably don't want to do this exercise because you generally have to get a double chin and like stretching it. But talk about the importance of the neck, and especially the back neck. The back of the neck.
The back of the neck? Okay. So when Erin was here at my office, I had showed her some exercises, very easy stretches / exercises to do. And the thing is, a lot of people who are in pain kind of, would think, hey, if I exercise, wouldn't that make my muscles spasm some more? Should I just like not move at all and just rest and just get things massaged? When at the end of the day, I always tell patients, well, sometimes people are in pain because you're not strong enough or have the endurance to do your daily living, right? So if people have neck pain, sometimes it's because you're not strong enough or have the endurance to keep your neck in a better position throughout the day. So if you have pain, then if you strengthen it, it will actually reduce pain. It's kind of like if you feel pain like carrying like a 20-pound dumbbell with your biceps. It doesn't mean just put the dumbbells down and never, ever touch it again. It means, no, you know what? Lift 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds, lift 25 pounds. Eventually, the 20 pounds won't even hurt anymore, right? So then from there, what a lot of people tend to do is a lot of people are like, oh, great. The 20 pounds doesn't hurt anymore. My neck doesn't hurt anymore. I'm just going to stop doing my physical therapy exercises altogether.
That's how I messed up.
Yeah.
So I had back pain and I would do physical therapy and feel better and I would stop. And I'd go back to playing basketball. And then eventually the cycle happened again and again. And I realized after it was too late that in order to avoid those injuries or get better, physical therapy has to be, all these wellness, physical therapy, chiropractics, even acupuncture need to be part of your routine. So now my routine involves physical therapy before, like 45 minutes before I even work out. That's part of my daily routine now. And it makes a world of difference. But again, I think being able to be strong in places, especially your neck and your back, your posture, are important because now we're all on our phones. We're always looking down. And that's why a lot more people have back problems, neck issues more than usual. And you can probably speak to that more than I could.
Oh, yeah. So a lot of patients think, as mentioned, that like resting is the way to go, right? And sometimes they feel better and then they return back to their sports at like 100%. Right. And then they get injured again and they're like, oh, shoot, I guess I should just rest again even longer, but then return back to the sport at 100% all over again. When actually what I recommend people is, okay, you could go back to doing the things you want to do, but you have to go back while reducing one of these three things by 50%. Duration, repetitions, or intensity. So duration, how long is the overall, thing you're doing? Repetitions, how many repetitions are you doing? And then intensity, how hard are you at your activity or how heavy are you lifting, right? So if you reduce one of these things by 50%, then, hey, if after a couple of days you feel okay, all right, you can ramp it back up. But hey, after a couple of days, if it still doesn't feel okay, all right, you need to reduce something else by 50%. That way, you never really lose your muscle memory of the actual activity, and you're never really just, letting yourself deteriorate.
Be sedentary.
Yeah.
One thing that I loved with meeting with you is you gave me a different perspective on pain, how your body actually signals, what your body uses pain for, to signal like you may be weak in a certain area. It's not necessarily that you've injured something, but that the areas around it are weak. And a lot of that has to do with the spine, you said.
A lot of it has to do with the spine. Actually, I brought a spine here today. Yes. Well, a lot of the listeners might not be able to, actually see the spine, but I always talk to patients when they're laying face down, so they'll be able to visualize.
Can you turn it to the side so we can see the curvature?
Yes.
So is
like
that
this.
how the spine is supposed to be shaped?
Yes. So when it comes to the spine, there are actually 3 curves to it. It's not actually like Jenga blocks that get stacked straight up, but rather there is a curve at the bottom that's kind of a backward C. And that's the same curve as the curve at the top, which is also a backward C. And then the mid-back is a frontward C. And that kind of curve distribution helps to make sure that you don't have, complete loading of weight to those joints that they wouldn't be able to tolerate. So it just helps to distribute the weight easier.
And I know one of the things you pointed out with me and my posture was that I needed to correct the top portion because I was essentially making a full C at the top instead of.
Yes, exactly. So essentially what was happening was that the curve of your neck was kind of going forward a little bit more. So some people who've gotten an x-ray done, it might say that there's a straightening of the curve of the neck. And when that happens, then the muscles that are holding onto the bones of the neck, they have to work a lot harder because it's kind of like if you're holding a bowling ball and you're tipping the bowling ball forward, it's just going to need so much more muscles to hold that weight back. So the exercise that I had taught you essentially helps to try to create a curve to the neck that comes back. Now, the thing is, there are things on Amazon, there are products out there that kind of, I don't know if you've seen this, where the person kind of lays on it and their like neck is like just kind of coming back like this. Well, as much as that might help to return the curve at the bottom,
right,
you're not going around living life like this. You know what I mean? So
head in the clouds.
So that's why I had to show you a stretch that essentially helped the bottom bones come back. But then your chin needs to have the strength to tuck the neck.
And that's where the double
down.
chin comes in.
I call that the ugly face exercise.
Oh,
wait,
well, I saw you.
It.
Actually, I saw Jeremy doing some like crazy F1 exercises, like with his neck. Yeah.
Wait, what were you doing with your neck?
Basically, I put a band in the lower part of my neck, and it's kind of similar to what you're talking about, doing a double chin exercise, but kind of elongating and getting my neck backwards. So super posture in a sense, and it's helped me a lot with not waking up with neck issues or neck pain. It minimized it a lot.
Good. There's actually a correlation between the neck and the position of the shoulders as well, right? Because there was 2 stretches that I had showed Arani at the office. The first one was, as mentioned, something to bring the neck back. But as you can see, it still might look like there's a lot of tension in the neck when you're trying to bring your head back because the neck bones are attached to your shoulders, just like your arm bones are attached to your shoulders. Yeah. So if your arms are in front of you, your shoulder blades are being pulled forward while your neck's trying to come back. So the key is to bring the shoulders back in order to get the tension away. So I tell people to do the chin tuck to bring the neck back, and then also make sure the arms are back as well.
Yeah, this exercise for keeping the shoulder blades back. Kind of want to open up your chest, right? And stand with pride, essentially, is what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that helps with, because everything we do, again, laptops is closed. So open up. You stand taller as well, Erin. You just point that out.
All right. Hopefully it'll give me 2 more inches. All right. We don't want to end the conversation here. We will be back with more with Dr. Anna D after the break. Stay with us.
You're watching On the Move.
Welcome back to On the Move. We're here with Dr. Anna D, and we're asking her all kinds of questions about chiropractics. Now, I have an obsession with watching those chiropractor videos. My favorite pop that we see is when they take the neck, the head, and they pull up, and you hear that pop, and it sounds like a deep pop, but I know it's not exactly the greatest pop from what I hear. What is that? First off, can you tell us about that?
Well, first, Jeremy, have you gotten that done to you by?
I have actually. I did get it done to me, but I haven't gotten it done in a long time because I used to get it done by this chiropractor who was doing an acupuncturist doing chiropractics, cupping, all this stuff. Maybe he wasn't certified for it.
Acupuncture doing chiropractic. There are,
but my physical therapist friend and workout partner, he will do manipulations as well, but he refuses to do that pop. He does it where he turns, kind of what we experienced at your studio, where it popped my neck turning to the side as opposed to pulling up. Can you tell us the difference between the two and the risks involved?
All right. So in order to describe like what is happening, there are multiple like things I have to discuss, right? The first thing is, what is the sound of the cracks, right? Because you're going to hear a lot of cracks when you do any kind of like fast motions with the joint in that certain position.
I mean, I get them when I step out of bed.
Yeah.
Crack everywhere.
There's no problems. So the sound is basically because your joints actually have fluid in between it. And in those fluid, there are tiny little gas bubbles there. And when you do a very fast motion to it, it actually changes the pressure within the joint. And then those gas bubbles, quote unquote, collapse. So it creates this like popping sound, similar to opening up a soda can. When you open up a soda can, you hear that pop sound. And for a lot of people, it's very satisfying. You know, it's very satisfying to feel like something is happening. However, there are some chiropractic adjustments whereby the doctor will just kind of press on it and you might not even hear anything. There are even some chiropractic adjustments where they just use a little clicky tool that just goes click, click. You know, it doesn't necessarily move the joints, but it helps to get the joints moving. Now, when it comes to the move that you're talking about, right, the one where they're essentially pulling upwards, right, they are trying to plump up the joints and separate the bones and give the nerves some more space, right? So that could be done, you know, very gently, the way that I did it in the office, where I just held your head and just did some very gentle tugging, no surprises, and you felt that gentle stretch. But when a chiropractor pulls on the neck, usually they're using some sort of a strap, right, that tries to get the neck in a certain position. And it's been called many different things. It's been called like a Y strap because of the shape of the strap. It's been called, there's a chiropractor online that calls it a ring dinger, right? Yeah, I don't know. But me personally, and what we do in the office is we don't do those adjustments, at least that style of adjustments, because we don't know the patient's anatomy, if their neck and their skull and their brain can tolerate it. Long story short, I know of some patients who, you know, by chance have discovered that, like, and this is a normal variant, uncommon, but it's normal, by chance, that some patients have like a little bit of their brainstem kind of like their brainstem like kind of like coming out of the hole of their skull a little bit, right? And so I just imagine like, well, if there are some patients walking around with this, but they don't know because they never got an MRI, if I was to just pull like that, right, I wouldn't be surprised if they experience like a lot of dizziness. You know, it's such a small motion that it's not going to really injure you so much, but still, I don't want to take the chance that a patient leaves the office feeling worse than when they came in.
And that's what I really loved about visiting you in your office, is that you really took time to understand maybe pre-existing conditions that both Jeremy and I had. And it was very gentle. Like I said, I was scared to do the neck alignment and hear the crack, but it was just so, you eased me into it with stretching out my neck and the massage. And then it didn't even feel like anything. It just felt so normal and natural.
Definitely the most gentle joint manipulations I've ever had in my life.
The magical hands. Yeah. We're calling you Dr. Magical Hands. Let's talk a little bit about, there was something that you did in the office that had us on the table. To me, it felt like it was giving me a little bit more range of motion in areas, but you're the doctor. Break it down for us. What was that happening on the tables?
So with our tables, it kind of comes apart at the torso level. right before the hips, whereby it breaks apart. So that way we could put one hand on your back to create an upwards stretch, an upwards decompression. And then the other end, our hands are on a handle that kind of moves the table in a way that stretches you. So it stretches you long ways, as in it pulls you essentially like quote unquote taller. But at the same
It
time,
didn't work for her, for
Well,
Ernie.
I need to keep coming back. I
Just
need
a
like
little bit.
10 sections or something.
well, certainly if you have better posture, you will appear to be, taller. You'll be more
Mhm.
confident as well. But anywho, with this table, it is doing something called flexion distraction. So the distraction was the decompression. It was my upward hand. The flexion was the forward bending. And that forward bending helps to open up the disc. But because my hand is distracting upwards, it doesn't make the spine slouch, which is actually not good for the spine. And I think, Jeremy, you've been to physical therapists, chiropractors, all of that. You've probably been told, to not slouch, not round your back.
No, everything is based on proper posture and making sure you have great posture for better movement and no pain.
Exactly. I like to think of the spine kind of like a building, in that the building wants to feel stable and secure, right? And in order for it to feel stable and secure, you have to work on the scaffolding around the building. So you not only work on the front, but you work on the back as well. That's why you go to chiropractors, physical therapists, they tell you to do planks, right? And a lot of patients are like, oh, no, I'm not doing it because it hurts. But of course it's going to hurt. Any exercise that you haven't done before is going to hurt at first, but eventually it becomes less painful. So it's not only strengthening the scaffolding around the spine, but then it's also the foundation. If there's an earthquake in the building, you better make sure that the legs, the hips, the knees, the ankles, those won't be buckling, but can stabilize everything.
I wouldn't say hurts. I would say takes more of an effort, right? That burning sensation of muscle working isn't necessarily pain as you would have if you had a back injury. So, I think as somebody who works out often, that burn of a muscle being used is, justification that you're working hard.
Yes. So that pain should go away after a couple of days, right? If it is a pain that's lasting for a long time, that's, another reason why somebody should go and see somebody for it. You should be able to try to distinguish what is pain from me exercising versus what is pain from my nerves now becoming more sensitive to a constant stimulus, to a constant something I'm doing wrong. It's kind of like, I read somewhere, it's kind of like taking a hammer and always hitting your thumb over and over and over. If you keep on doing that, eventually just like grazing your finger against your thumb is going to hurt, right? So there are different types of pain differences between exercising and actual like nerve sensitivity pain.
I feel like when we talk about our body and wellness, we don't talk enough about the spine. We were saying off camera that, the last time I even probably talked about my spine was when you're in school and they're trying to see if you have scoliosis or something. But the spine is so important. And even you said in some workouts, like we go to these workout classes, they have us working out and doing all these sit-ups and things, and you're saying necessarily that's not good for your spine.
So yes, yeah, Jeremy and I are both like,
Yeah,
right
I was told by many people, whether it be my back surgeon or my physical therapist, full sit-ups aren't necessarily great for you. Crunches, even leg raises aren't great. Crunches are okay, but I think people have this misconception of doing abs is sit-ups. You're doing stuff requires stability, like one-legged exercises. You're still working your core.
Yeah, keeping it engaged.
But I'll let the doctor explain better than I can.
Yeah, so
Right.
why is it coming straight up in a sit-up not good for your spine?
Well, to describe what's going on, we have to show you like kind of an anatomical level what happens exactly when you bend forward. Now, the viewers might be able to see this, but the listeners might not be able to. But generally what happens is that if you bend your body forward, it's kind of like squeezing a toothpaste tube. By the way, this is a spine, kind of the spinal bones over here. This is the disc over here. And this is the nerves that exit between the bones. So you'll see there are nerves that exit between bones. And if you bend forward, there will be a
Oh.
disc that kind of squeezes backwards into the space of the nerve. So it's kind of like squeezing a toothpaste tube in the front, and the toothpaste kind of squeezes backwards into the space of the nerve. So if that's the case, then of course that nerve is going to be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Don't do this motion, please. I'm going to have all of my muscles hold tight, and I don't like this. So that's why you really have to try to avoid rounding your back forward. That way, because the disc is going to start to kind of bulge backwards. Nowadays, there are some Pilates studios, some like coaches who just straight up don't have patients ever round their back to
Right.
do things, because after all, you don't want your back to be its strongest when it's rounded, right? You never see people doing squats or deadlifts and be told you got to round your back, right? You want your back to feel its strongest when it's in neutral position, when the building is in its most stable neutral position. Then you'll be able to have the security to be able to let go of the rest of your body, so that way it could go into the movement better.
I love how you said when you're doing squats or any type of lifting, we're always reminded to, correct our posture, bring your shoulders back. All right, we don't want to end the conversation here. We're going to have much, much more with Dr. Anna D. Stay with us.
You're watching On the Move.
Welcome back to On the Move with Dr. Anna D. And you listeners might be asking, what kind of certification should I be looking for in a chiropractor? Can you give us some info?
Sure. So when it comes to choosing the right chiropractor for you, right, one of the best things to do is go online and do your research. See if the chiropractor has reviews, see, what school, well, not necessarily what school they went to, but just like see if they have any additional credentials beyond what they learned from school. However, at the end of the day, you can always call the office and ask them like, hey, how long are the sessions? What typically gets done during the session? Try to find a chiropractor that is going to massage, stretch, decompress, do adjustments, and teach you exercises that you could do at home to make things better, and teach you what you could do to not make things worse. If a chiropractor doesn't have the time to do all of that, then it's really, not worth your time to go see them. So try to make sure you do the research beforehand, so you know that you're going to someone who's going to be able to hit all of those things.
All right. And with that being said, we want to thank Dr. Anna D for joining us today. You can also visit her office, Unity Chiropractic Wellness, here in Manhattan. We want to say thank you for joining us. Wherever your fitness journey takes you, find a community and just keep moving. Have a great day.